has been in a ranking final again. It was 5 years ago now, the Indian Open 19. Came through in a decider yesterday against Aaron Hill, 5-4. Big crowd in again, and they're close to the action here in Haotian. It makes quite an atmosphere, as we've already seen this week, and that's always going to be the case when the next man, this man, enters the arena. Yeah, as I say, beat Michael White 5-3 yesterday. The man who needs no introduction, but he's going to get one. So, can Ronnie O'Sullivan reach the last 16 and set up a tasty match, let's be honest, with Hussein Vafai? After their meeting, of course, at the Crucible last year. I think all is well between them, but I'm sure memories of that will be flooding back if he gets through. He's not through yet. Haotian beat him last time out in Wuhan.
The first frame.
It's best of 9, and it's Haotian to get us underway. I know Neil Folger commentated yesterday on O'Sullivan. I mean, the centuries were the highlights. It wasn't necessarily vintage, though, all the way through.
No, I think it looked better on paper, actually, the breaks and the overall performance. He missed a lot of balls at sort of mid-range. All the O'Sullivan touches were there, of course. 2 centuries. A lot of balls went in through the side door in those centuries, but he got there, and Michael White perhaps could have played better as well, but he got the win. At 3-3, he had to raise his game, and he managed to do that, which all great champions tend to do.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Haotian's first time on the table, just slightly underhit that one. Of course, his road started out in Barnsley in this tournament. He beat Ashley Carty a few weeks ago in round 1. And survived that decider yesterday with Aaron Hill.
Yes, it sounds very harsh, doesn't it, for a Chinese player to play an event in China but play a qualifier in the UK. But of course, he, like so many, is based in Sheffield, so not a million miles away from Barnsley, so it's not quite as severe as it sounds. Didn't have to travel across to play because he's, as I say, based in the UK. As so many are, and I think that's the way forward for a lot of the Chinese players. Terrific academies in Sheffield for... I think they call them like training camps almost, where you see players in areas just playing snooker all day. And improvement is sure to come. And his win last time against O'Sullivan was absolutely no fluke. It was the biggest win of the two between them. They're sharing 1-1, but Haohan, he played very well and he beat O'Sullivan comfortably. So Ronnie will be fully aware of that. Yes, he's played a lot of matches and it's not a big thing, but he's not playing someone who's just going to sort of lie down and be beaten. Pretty inscrutable individual, isn't he, Haotian? You don't really get a great read how he's feeling, whether he's happy or even when he beat Ronnie, just a handshake and walked off. So victory and defeat, he kind of sees them in fairly similar ways. Very good temperament, though. Maybe the two things are linked. I'm not sure Ronnie would get away with how he played yesterday in this match. I think he might be beaten if he plays the same way. A little loose he was at times.
foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
Yes, as Dave said, he's not played on this table. He's just finding it, well, I wouldn't describe the table as slow by any means, but he hasn't hit the last two snooker escapes hard enough. Because O'Sullivan can play every safety shot required when he wants to. Not something you associate with him, but at the moment he's getting Haotian in a bit of early trouble. The two reds on the right cushion for playing thin off the bunch are in the way. The likelihood is he'll crash into one on the way back down the table. That's why he's not playing off the right side of the bunch, because of those two reds. And if you played the thick shot round the angles, the red above the pink might come into play. He's got to avoid the red. He's going to play thick. He's got to avoid the red up the table past the pink here, which he's done successfully. Good shot.
So important not to show O'Sullivan that, you know, you fear playing him, and he's got no reason to fear playing him, having beaten him in a quarter-final this season. It seems it's actually some of the more established players who have a problem beating him. Some of the younger ones maybe not so much. We saw this season a couple of times get the better of him.
It's interesting that, isn't it? I mean, you tend to find that perhaps a lot of the players have sort of grown up with O'Sullivan, seeing him in the last decade where he's been absolutely imperious. As that safety shot eventually goes wrong. You know, it wasn't always like that with O'Sullivan. He was quite vulnerable in the earlier days, but some of the players now, the younger players, are not familiar with that side of him.
Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan's won the initial tactical battle, so let's see if he can now put something together here. He made his 50th century of the season yesterday. Of course, he hasn't played as many tournaments as a lot of the other players, but he's played plenty of matches because he's been winning so many tournaments. 5 so far.
Well, his job here is to clear the black spot. I think that's why he didn't want to play on the black, although he's going to have to play it now, but it's going to be a little congested around there. I don't know if the black would go to the left corner when respotted, though. There might be a path through to it. But I know that Neil Robertson did this at one point to improve his break building. He watched videos of O'Sullivan and Hendry and how they constructed a break in the early stages. And there's nobody better to watch break building than O'Sullivan.
Nine.
Well, he's had a lot of success, of course, this season and indeed in recent years. But in terms of the type of tournaments he's been winning, this event, it's a flat draw, 1-2-8, so everyone comes in the very first round. And he's not won one of those tournaments since the 2018 UK Championship. Since then, he's won 7 ranking events where he's come in later and the fields have been smaller. Some big tournaments. I mean, a couple of World Championships in there. But these events that maybe are a bit more of a slog, he's not been doing so well in. Judd Trump's been the opposite. He's won 15 of those last 1-8 tournaments in that period, but only 3 of the limited field ranking events. Maybe reflective of his age, but also maybe reflective of what O'Sullivan these days is targeting. But make no mistake, he wants to do well in this event. He's been impeccably behaved, hasn't he, at this tournament? Spoke well yesterday after his win. And of course, apart from anything else, we're building up to a big 17 days in Sheffield, where everyone wants to be fully confident and nicely played in.
$28.
It's an interesting point about that. I hadn't realised it was that long since he won a 1-2-8 event. Maybe fewer tables in the arena is another reason. Clearly, the fewer tables is because of there were less players involved. So Maybe that helps his concentration and his focus. The one table setup has always been his thing. We've not got that yet.
35.
This week, the 8 tables, albeit there's a kind of a main arena with 2 in here in Haotian. It's almost a classic frame so far. He's won the safety battle, forced the error, and he's now trying to capitalise.
41.
And he hasn't been able to use the black since it was potted initially. But I still think he could get onto it. Yeah, I think he's realised it will pot, but from a certain area. He doesn't have to play on it. It could play up onto the pink. And deciding the black is worthy
48.
of playing on here. Playing with a nice pace around the table. It was evident during that final against Luca Bracel in Riyadh that when put under pressure, he started to, if anything, slow his game down a touch, but just play
56.
in a more measured approach. He started this match in that same way.
Well, as I say, he won the safety duel at the start of the frame, and now he needs this red to win the frame. And so much of the genius of Ronnie O'Sullivan is what we've just seen. It's actually just keeping tight control of that cue ball. You know, he's worked this break impeccably. The black. So 2 snookers needed.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 64.
Tried to pinch a bit of the pocket there. He thought he top jaw and it would still drop in.
Well, it gives Haotian a bit of table time, if nothing else. I mean, they might have design. Well, so he might have designs on winning the frame. He's missed the red initially. Well, that removes any doubt. And let's be honest, there wasn't that much doubt anyway, really. I can tell you Mark Selby started with a century. He's playing some good stuff. He's just won the Championship League, where he had 21 centuries in the 3 groups. Selby up against Long Juhang today.
8.
Jackson Page, who beat John Higgins, of course, he's won the first against Wu Yizet, and he's made a 1-3-6 in the first frame. Sullivan looked like he might make a century. It wasn't to be, but he's won the frame all the same. Haotian stays in his chair. So he won the safety duel. He made the frame-winning break. Ronnie O'Sullivan leads 1-0. It's first to 5 to reach the last 16 of the World Open here in Haotian. Ronnie O'Sullivan getting frame 2 underway, having in the end dominated the opener here. This is the last 32 of the World Open in Haotian in China. And he made a frame-winning contribution against Haotian after forcing the initial error.
Well, Liu Haotian has got a good all-round game. That's one thing he can boast. You know, he plays a good safety game and tactical, as I say, good temperament, scores well. Although the first frame he was outfoxed early and gave away the chance which cost him the frame. He's got O'Sullivan queuing awkwardly here. It's hard to hit the thin edge of this one, queuing down on the ball. Such a good shot, that, I have to say. Queuing over the top of the brown. Look where he's put the cue ball. He's put Liu Haotian in enough trouble of his own. Yeah, that's the shaded area which he can't hit directly down the centre. Again, he's rolling up to a red. It doesn't appear there's a lot of danger involved in this shot, because of the two reds in each other's way across the table to the left. And again, that's quite a good shot. The two reds above the black. I'm not sure he can get an edge of those. Perhaps he can. But there's not a lot of room. We want to hit very thin and hit the one to the right of shot on the cushion. Just got to hit a little bit more over the red to avoid hitting that one. It's a good battle, this. Good shot. Can't get behind the green and brown, but over the top of them is causing a few headaches for either player. Well, I'm not entirely sure I know what he played there. If he played to screw back, it would have taken maybe the man on the next table, Judd Trump, to get the cue power, to get the cue bullet to the other end. There weren't many shots there to choose from, but I don't know if that was the option that he was looking for. So this time, Liu Haotian wins the safety battle.
Yeah, imperative that he does what O'Sullivan did. O'Sullivan made 64. It was enough to win frame one. Scoring has been good this week. We just had Chris Wakelin's just made a century, frame one. Jackson Page, Mark Selby, all in their opening frames. Conditions have been good for scoring.
I must admit, that match with Jackson Page and Wu Yi is a very interesting match. Two real bright stars of the game playing each other. Quite a late stage of an event.
Yeah, and a late stage of the season as well, where, you know, someone could come through the pack and suddenly a bad season is completely transformed.
I mentioned yesterday, most of the players have their own extensions, their own bespoke equipment. O'Sullivan is the odd one out in that capacity. He uses the one that's under the table, doesn't have anything of his own apart from his cue. And the case, of course. It's not that attractive a table. A lot of reds on cushions or near cushions and bunches of reds all tied up. So it isn't easy to do what O'Sullivan did here for Liu Haotian to win the frame virtually in one visit. That's not where he wanted to be. He's got a shot at the red down the table, but he's awkward queuing. It's not an easy angle. In fact, close to being touching this red. You could see him missing this sort of angle you could easily misjudge. Especially perhaps without centre ball striking on the red. Very well done. Very nice. Good cue ball as well.
After beating O'Sullivan in Wuhan, he lost to Ali Carter in the semis, but he got to the last 16 of the International Championship, which is a big event as well. Last 16 Scottish Open. Not that much to write home about since. Unless he goes all the way this week, of course, he'll be in the qualifying for the World Championship.
Well, that is the worst possible cannon this time.
26.
I don't think the break's going to continue. It's a very acute red to right middle, but it's not a nice shot to be playing. So I think he'll just head up the table here for safety with the touching ball that's been called.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most confident visit. It has to be said. He sort of found a bit of trouble quite early on, and now it looks like it's over.
Haotian, 26.
Well, very much second prize, but again, O'Sullivan has been put into trouble here by Lu Haotian. You do feel there is a shot to roll up to those four reds actually here, but it's not the kind of shot he wants to play. I know he's rolling up to this one. I felt that there was a shot to just drop into the left red on the side cushion.
Foul and a miss.
But it isn't an O'Sullivan sort of shot in the same way maybe Neil Robertson or Mark Selby might employ that kind of way of just keeping your opponent out for one shot. Usually doesn't want to get involved in all this, O'Sullivan. He usually sits in the chair, but he is helping the referee here. Much better.
Neil Robertson, who you mentioned there, he's won a close first frame with Yuan Sijun. If Robertson loses today, he will be guaranteed to be in the qualifiers for the World Championship for the first time since 2006.
It's a superb piece of cueing. Of course, Robertson's, even getting to the final would not get him into the Tour Championship, which would be another way, of course, of getting in before the Worlds. Such is how far off the pace he's been all season, really. If he wins this week, all credit to him. Over the top of a red again.
6. 14. $15.
Well, he's got a useful lead with balls safe here.
Yeah, he just might need a trace of left-hand side on this. I think it will pot, but just a trace, something on it to straighten the angle. And, of course, you can do that. You can change an angle of a shot, but it would not surprise him to see hitting, well, left of centre. As we look to the right of centre, there you see, just to make the pot happen. And it looked easy, but that was the reason he played it in the way that he did.
Yeah, green and brown tied up. Red's on the right-hand side all tied up. Sorry, left-hand side. All favouring him.
$29. $30.
So you're going to need another red, in fact.
Yeah, and he's just dropped in behind it. Yes, he's not necessarily going to be on a colour very easily.
37.
But you just see this red go in. The cue ball might just drift up towards bulk area unless he gets down and plays it with screw, which he's done successfully. Quite interesting, isn't it, that the head-to-heads just show two matches. Many of the young up-and-coming players from anywhere in the world have had difficulties with O'Sullivan, and he's been, beaten them a number of times to the point where they're not fancying it, but these two have not met enough times for that to be an issue.
Yeah, he's, I think, a bit of a deceptive player. He kind of sometimes walks around the table almost looking a bit agonised about things, but then he just carries on potting balls. Clearly a great talent. Missed that one, but surely done enough here.
44 end of frame.
Ronnie O'Sullivan remains in his seat, so he dominated the first frame. Haotian has dominated the second. All square, one each, first to 5 to reach the last 16 of the World Open in Haotian. So it's 1-1 and Haotian on the scoreboard. Chris Wakelin, in the meantime, has, against Ali Carter, started with 103 and 143. So that's some start, isn't it, from the former shootout champ? 2-0 to Chris. Much improved, of course, really, since that shootout win.
I seem to remember Chris Wakelin doing that to the great Stephen Hendry on one of his comeback matches in his first season back. He absolutely, well, just wiped the floor with him with a series of mammoth breaks off of the Hendry break-off shot in each frame. He played brilliantly. He's capable of it.
The worst thing about that was he said after, it was a big deal playing him because my mum was a big fan of Stevens. Obviously, he was born in 92, Chris, when Stephen was #1 in the world.
A few errors creeping in from O'Sullivan. That was a poor shot. He tried to swing the cue ball round, but he pushed the cue ball onto the red by using left-hand side. The cue ball went right, straight into the red, fuller than he wanted. Didn't leave anything, though. That's another loose shot. It was a really loose shot from O'Sullivan to hit the brown, just trying to push the red up the table. There's a very big target between green and brown that the red was meant to go through.
One. Six.
Well, he's playing a big shot here. Yeah, with the rest, it was a tough one. I mean, they're difficult shots if you're able to cue them not using the rest. I think however good a rest player you are, and we've got some terrific rest players in the game, a rest shot is never easier than a shot without the rest. And if he's playing the same sort of a shot, it's better to be playing it with the normal cueing. Sullivan is using all of the pockets that he was doing yesterday. Not all going in the centre, but they're still going in.
Four.
Same story. He doesn't particularly want to play on the black because it will be tied up, but he might have very little choice but to do so.
Five.
Black just tied up by the red to the right of the black spot when it's respotted.
Twelve.
What a good shot.
13.
What a good shot to play on that one red I mentioned that was in the way. And the best way to free the black is to pot the offending red. But he didn't have a lot of room there. He did very well to get on it because it looked very tight. So from the previous shot, he had to be pinpoint with his cue ball to land on the red. But he's not on that one now, unfortunately. So this is a big recovery shot he's going to have to play here. Played it because cue ball down there, he isn't leaving anything. He's almost screwed the cue ball back down towards the bottom cushion. But needn't have bothered once the pot went in.
$28. 29. $36. 37.
So, a couple of errors certainly from O'Sullivan early in the. Now this is where he likes to be, around the black spot.
45.
As I did yesterday, seeing him again here, that he thinks that the tables are very conducive to potting and scoring, so he'll do everything he can to keep breaks going, and this break could have ended halfway through. The two of yesterday. that's a sneeze from somebody, but it could have been a sneeze of appreciation if there's such a thing, because it was still a good shot.
So just a couple of balls away from killing the frame off. The earlier errors are distant memory now.
69.
There's always so much scrutiny on how he plays. He's always going to be on the main table. People are always looking for whether he can produce the goods. It's impossible to play world-beating snooker all the time. We've seen it quite a few times, having said that, this season from him. But ultimately, we're still early on in the tournament. You want to try and build your way into the event. Save the best for the weekend if he's still here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't particularly want to play him at all these days, but playing him on this to
83.
break making, it would be a nightmare to play him, because, I mean, you stop him getting in, first of all, and a few times you might think the break has come to an end and he'll play a recovery shot. I mean, the break making is happening on all of the tables at the moment. Had a 147 and a 146, various other big breaks. But this is the best break maker the game's ever seen. So you're sitting in the other chair, you're not necessarily enjoying playing him.
No, and that's why if you do get chances and he makes mistakes, you've got to try and capitalise. Now then, still needs this rev for the century.
99.
Not to be. Or is it? No, not to be, but 99 from O'Sullivan, a quick kill. And he leads 2-1. I think crowd a bit disappointed not to see the century there, but he's won the frame and he's 3 away from the last 16. Ronnie O'Sullivan 2, Haotian 1. O'Sullivan has just made a 99 break. He had a 64 in frame 1. Neil Robertson's just gone 2-0 up against Yuan Sijun. He's looking, of course, for a late rally. Mock Selby 2-0 up as well against Long Zhuhang of China. Selby's had a 136 already in that match. As Haotian knocks in a good long one. Imploring the cue ball to just hold up. He's carried on running.
Well, that was touch and go. O'Sullivan would have been right behind the line of that shot on the brown. He might have thought it was going to stay out.
5.
It just fell in. And now that it did go in, what a chance it's given him. I mean, he'd love to be on this red. Again, it's one of those you might have to use a trace of left side. But the fact that he's further away from the red than he was previously when he played that shot, that little bit of side is not so easy to put on and keep control of the cue ball. I think he might just be able to get to this, but it is tight, though. Done well. So he's a very determined player, Haotian. Good all-round game, good temperament, as I said. Not fazed by playing O'Sullivan, as we know. He's beaten him already this season. He's got to step up and get this frame won.
Yeah, I think the argument is settled, isn't it? O'Sullivan, the greatest player ever, but only when he's at the table. When he's in his seat, it's up to you to try and take it to him. Haotian, 97 centuries in his career. 12 so far this season.
40.
Not all about centuries, though. An 80 will win you the frame, a 90 will win you the frame.
22.
It's a really good chance. Opening brown, which wriggled in the jaws and opened the reds, was a very effective shot. I mean, he's got 7 or 8 reds here in open play before anything else has to be done.
27.
Feels very much as if the conditions this week are whoever gets in first would have a big advantage. I know that's probably how the game should be played, but many a frame is going to be won in one scoring visit, put it that way.
35. $36. 43. $44.
Well, he's got the angle to go into the group of 5 reds, which he doesn't have to play. Just looking at the scores, I think that it's all based on whether he thinks he'll need any part of those 5 reds. It couldn't be better placed to open them, but would that be being slightly greedy, given that he's got other reds available? No, I think he is playing it. It just looked too good a pack of reds to avoid playing.
51.
Seems certain he'd be on one, and he is.
$52.
I don't know he's got much angle here. No, just off straight. Sort of coming away from the reds very slightly. Certainly can't play in towards the reds from this angle. So, I mean, this is a possibility that it could go wrong. Could miss this, I suppose, although he has looked pretty secure so far.
$58.
Yeah, all the frames have been one-sided, haven't they? The 2 O'Sullivan has won, and it looks like 2 that Haotian will have won. Got him with a good red. And the brown actually was good as well, because he was almost level with it. He didn't have the best angle, and it was risky, but he went in, and here we are. He's over the line if he pots this black. Got to stand up to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's done that already this season here in China, when, let's be honest, better-known names have at times capitulated to the rocket. Haotian is standing tall, and it's going to be all square at the interval.
$74. $81.
Yeah, Sullivan has been watching closely, but already preparing for the interval. Interesting match, I think, and the dynamic of the fact that they played already this season and Haotian has won makes it so. He's missed that, so no century, but 82. And we're all square at 2-2. There's been some good scoring in this match from both players. Haotian twice has rallied to draw level. So the winner plays Hossein Vafai in the last 16 of the World Open here in Yushan, China. Every frame has been dominated by the player who won it. O'Sullivan's had breaks of 64 and 99.
Frame 5.
Haotian an 82 in the fourth. And he's going to get us underway again. He just needed that one chance in frame 4 from the O'Sullivan break off, a long red. That was that.
Yeah, Sullivan will have to be very watchful, I think, just allowing his opponent in first. Of course, the same applies to Haotian, but he's a pretty good match player. Well, that's actually worked out well. Sullivan would have been on that end red, but for the double kiss. That may look a very inviting plant, but trust me, the reds, as you can see from the overhead, are further apart than would make it a comfortable shot. I think O'Sullivan, I can't speak for him here, but I feel that he has recognised this match as one he could come unstuck in. As you know, you will remember the defeat in Wuhan, and a comfortable win for Haotian that day. And he knows he's going to have to play somewhere near his best. I don't think he is playing his best, O'Sullivan, but you have to be fairly streetwise if he's going to get this match won today. You just get the feeling it's a possible banana skin here. You don't really think of O'Sullivan's been as doubles being his speciality, but it was one that could only really leave the red he was doubling, or attempting to double. So it was a beautifully played shot. So in first, crucially,
Okay. 8.
something on the cue ball for him to time to just regroup. The reds are scattered, but they're all covering each other. Beautifully played shot. This is the last open red, apart from the one that's completely out in
9.
Free play, but down the centre of the table. He's going to have to do well to get these developed, and he's already decided to go into them at the earliest chance. Never been a player to shirk the issue.
16.
I don't think the split worked out as well as it could. Even the red that was in clear and open play has now been blocked off by the one next to it. I'll have to go into them again at some point.
$24. 25.
Well, maybe a little fortunate this time to be on that bottom red. The cue ball
30.
ended up going through the bunch, and one of the reds followed it, so it's got to be cued well.
$31.
And it was. Nothing's plain sailing at this game, but now it seems that he's done the hard work already in this break to make it happen.
Yes, he's got things opened up very quickly, hasn't he? Give himself the best chance to kill it off in one visit.
39.
It's worth saying, I mean, he's already broken the prize money record for a single season, 1.14 million so far, with 3 big first prizes left to play for. Potential to get over 2 million. Obviously, he'd have to win them all, which is not easy, but he tends to be winning till season.
$47. $53. $54.
Now, which red will he play on here? Because the others are a little awkwardly placed. You can just land on the top one of the two, but I think they might both go, so it wasn't really that awkward after all.
59.
It was absolutely A1. So the trend is continuing. First player in. He's likely to win the frame, although he hasn't done it just yet. Red colour will be enough. Any colour.
66. $67.
I think if you played an all-day practice session with someone like O'Sullivan on this table, if you play for 6 or 8 hours, which they often do, you probably make about 20 centuries, I should think. It's very conducive to big breaks, big scoring, all of these tables. And yeah, often you see balls that are put in safe positions. But I'm not sure any red is safe, quite honestly. Sort of cued down on this one. A little tricky, but that was always going to go in anyway. I think the key to snooker tables is often how the balls pop down cushions. And they seem to be going in pretty nicely. From the pink spot into a direct pocket, you'd expect them to go in.
So he made that 99 in frame 3. But it's surely going to be a century here in frame 5.
It's been a very good break. Yes, it's been from a good chance, but well, you can miss down the cushions then, but he won't mind.
No, 102, 51st century of the season, third here in 2 matches. O'Sullivan, for the 3rd time, leads. It's 3-2. So Ronnie O'Sullivan has made the first century of the match, 102, 3-2. Now, each time he led before, he was pegged back, but obviously Haotian, if he doesn't win this frame, will be in trouble in the match itself. So he's looking to hold on here. Elliot Slessor, of course, we saw at the Welsh Open not only get to the semis, but within a frame of the final, lost 6-5 to Martin O'Donnell. He's 3-1 up to Matthew Stevens. I wonder if he's got his bit of paper with all that motivational stuff written on it. I'm sure he has.
It's another good safety shot from Haotian, acknowledged by O'Sullivan. I think O'Sullivan eyeing up the bottom red here on the, maybe trying to come round the angles. Bottom left-hand red, swinging it figure of eight style in behind the green. Didn't quite get enough on it, and that's the problem, you see. Not an easy shot to play on these tables, to get that side and judge it all perfectly. Not an easy table this time, and oh goodness, well it's that's not position A, position Z almost. Had to finish there. I mean, I don't know what he was playing on actually, because the black was never going to be on, nor the pink. What's his colour?
Green.
Green has been nominated. This is an interesting one. He's coming right round the angles here. Not sure that shot is on.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Doesn't often put his opponent back in, though, Sullivan. I'm not sure why he wouldn't here. Especially when he's only playing a safety shot. It doesn't really make any real sense, but he's got his reasons. It's not as if he's... Haotian is delighted not to have had to play that shot out of the snooker again, because I think could have missed it 10 times trying to hit the green.
Neil Robertson has made what could be an important clearance for him. He was behind against Yuan Sijun, but cleared up with 64 and leads 3-1 at the interval. Of course, a big week for Robertson. He needs to win the tournament to get his top 16 place back. Big shot coming up for O'Sullivan, meantime. And the red stays out. So,
不要随意走动，在比赛局间，谢谢大家。
referee upbraiding somebody, but scoring chance here for Haotian.
Yeah, of course, O'Sullivan didn't have to play the red there. I mean, I must admit, when I saw him queuing it, I thought he was trying to pot it into the yellow pocket and screw back towards the black. The shot he played, he had no great control over the cue ball. Probably would have been on something, but it was a tough pot. Didn't want this to happen, O'Sullivan, that Haotian in first. He's proved that he's in good form. He's an extremely solid player.
1.
Sometimes you call someone a solid player. It's not really a compliment, but I think in this case he is. Very dependable cue action. despite the ease in which players are making breaks, this will not be easy to score freely here.
7.
In the short term, reds up the other end of the table, but the 7 reds in the bunch have got to be opened up.
Eleven. 12. 17. 18. 23.
So the frame kind of really gets started, I think, once the point of the 7 reds being opened certainly comes into play, which is going to be quite soon. He's looking at a route into the bunch.
Twenty-four.
20. He's not looking at playing the brown and getting on the red up the table. He's looking at getting the bunch open here. One cushion at pace. It's off this yellow. It's not too bad. Not too bad at all.
26.
No, I mean, as long as you're on something, you obviously can continue the break. We've seen before now what look like real good splits, but if you're not on the next red, then it doesn't mean anything. He certainly exudes a different energy to Michael White yesterday. Michael's a terrific player, but has quite a sort of nervy way about him around the table. Haotian kind of looks more calm.
Yeah, very much so, and less phased by playing O'Sullivan. I think that's the
27.
important point, isn't it? Black will go up onto green, nothing else available, unless he moves the red here and now, which I don't think he necessarily has to do. Can conceivably go wrong, that cannon. Maybe it does go on there, I must say. I didn't think it does. No, up onto the green spot, so
34.
still at the table, I think. That's the key on these conditions, just to stay at the table, occupy the table as long as possible. Even if you're not in prime position, seems there are ways of keeping breaks going.
35.
He's going to look down the line as if he could play into them here. Doesn't have to, of course, with the loose reds available. Decides to do it. He's taken the gamble. He looks a little disappointed. I'm not sure if he's on the red to middle. That's really tight. I think it may go, but it's very much touch and go, that one. No, he wishes he hadn't played the cannon, played on this loose red and kept it safe and simple. If he's got to use right-hand side on this to make the angle, it's extremely missable.
Just hasn't quite given up on it, has he? But I think slowly he's talked himself down here.
Yeah, he can't quite let it go, can he? He knows how important it is to get these frames won when the chance comes. And I think he's going to have to just say no.
Yeah, he's still in a bit of a quandary. I don't think he's going to take the pot on.
Haotian, 40.
Well, I'm not sure about that shot. O'Sullivan could push the left-hand red out into open play here if he wishes to play that sort of a shot. No, he's tempted to red to middle, it seems. No, it's a terrific shot, though, isn't it? Well, why get reds out when you can knock those in? I know he'll need that left-hand red, but for now he can inch his way back into the frame. It could be that we're about to see the first close frame of this match. Sullivan looking to
6.
peg Liu Haotian back with this second chance.
Seven. Thirteen. 14. 19. 20.
As usual, we kind of almost take for granted his left-handed ability. He's played a couple of good shots left-handed, especially one earlier on where he screwed back across the table. You know, it's an amazing skill that he's got, which we've become used to. He wants the black on its own spot, but he hasn't landed very well on it. Doesn't look very sure of that. And the cube was landed in one of the few slightly awkward places. Yes, he's got a choice of reds, neither of which are very easy.
27. 28.
'Well, that black wriggled in.
35.
Full stretch here.
Using all the pocket again, isn't he?
36.
All of the pocket on these shots. I'm a little surprised he didn't play him behind this red, you know, rather than the double him. I think he would have potted that left-handed down the cushion.
42.
He did knock in a terrific double earlier, though.
Big shot now in the frame. Not there.
Yeah, I mean, I would have fancied him down the cushion to pot anything
42.
right behind it. I know he's missed one or two, but that would have been maybe a sure way of potting the red at the end of that break.
Well, the most interesting frame for sure, and a big one. 4-2 or 3-3, just 5 points in it on this last red. Oh, terrific pot. That's surely the shot of the match.
Yeah, beautiful shot, I agree. It was very well struck. The cue ball as well behaved as he meant it to. So he's on the black perfectly for yellow. Sullivan sort of sat back in his chair when he saw that red go in. Greatly disappointed to see it happen. Oh, wow. Wow. That is the miss of the week for me. The shot of the day, followed by the miss of the week.
Well, you saw Sullivan sort of react there. He couldn't believe it. What an error. What a blunder. Let's be honest.
2.
Has he just handed the frame and the 4-2 lead to O'Sullivan?
Well, in his career, we've seen most things, O'Sullivan, but his eyes lit up when he saw that out. Superb. Superb control. And now surely the finishing touches to the most important frame we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, in his seat, thought he'd lost the frame, but then that unexpected miss, he was right behind the pocket.
We saw a brown go in that pocket earlier on that which didn't even look anywhere near, so it was a bad miss on the yellow.
Yeah, incredible. After the great red, 2 shots later, a big mistake from Haotian, and it's going to be hard to recover from it. By far the closest frame of the day has gone to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He leads 4-2. And the 7 times world champion needs 1 more for victory. So, dramatic frame has gone to Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4-2, and suddenly feels a long way back for Haotian, who was poised there to win the frame impressively, having potted that terrific last red to the green bag, missed the yellow, and now has got to win the last 3 to beat O'Sullivan for a 2nd time this season, and already it's gone wrong because he caught the blue from the break-off, and it's not inconceivable that could be his last shot. Sort of sat down rather disconsolately there. O'Sullivan in immediately, pinpoint with his chance already to get it won.
Well, that's exactly what he wanted after the bonus of the last frame and the surprising miss on the yellow. O'Sullivan's face was a picture as he saw it stay out. Now he's in first around the black spot against an opponent who beat him earlier in the season. One of the few who has. And he's given Ronnie the chance to put the match away here. I think he's played better today than he has yesterday, O'Sullivan, quite honestly. There was a lot of rough edges yesterday. Today he's still not a 10 out of 10 in standard, but he looks incredibly dangerous in amongst them.
Yeah, I think obviously he's held to high standards. He holds himself to them, actually. There's no one more critical of Ronnie O'Sullivan than Ronnie himself, but yeah, it's been an improvement, and that's what you want to do, I guess, round by round.
33.
Interesting table here, isn't it? Because he hasn't made a 147 for a long time. I'm not saying he'll make one here, but it's quite hard to play on any other colour. The blue's away from his spot, which is where he often goes up for the blue. You know, I think he's got to stay on the black for the moment, unless the pink becomes in play when he opens them here. Be more of an effort to play on something else, although that angle suggests he might not play on the black.
48.
He's got to go through bulk on that red to middle. Played it well enough. Yeah, deciding that he's got a match to win. And you can't really argue with that I never have a problem with that. Players have got an important match to win, more so than the break. It might be different for the World Championships if the players in line for the bonus for making 2. Because there are 3 players who hold that distinction.
Yeah, and also, if we were still in Riyadh with that bonus prize, he might have kept it going.
Yeah, especially next year when it's been doubled.
54.
Well, the yellow will be quite interesting here because it will free up the blue, because the yellow won't go back on that spot. It will go on the blue spot. So in a roundabout way, it all adds up to colours being in play. That's what he's looking for at this stage.
Well, it looks like we're heading towards a meeting with Hossein Vafai. There was a lot of talk, controversy last season, of course, when they met. But the match was completely one-sided. O'Sullivan
50.
basically wiped the floor with him. Did his talking on the table. 13-2, and then it was all embraces and friendly talk. Now, that's gone wrong.
Surely he's not gone too far. That's not his a Ronnie O'Sullivan trait to not be on a red. Because you get an angle in behind it to see whether I mean, that's completely out of character, that he wouldn't finish. Look at all the room he had in that red, and somehow he's gone too far. Of all the players in the game, he'd be the last player you'd expect to make that mistake. To use side on the shot.
65.
Puts his hand up because I think he gave his opponent some false hope there that he was going to get back to the table, but he's not going to do that.
No, the hope's going to be extinguished with this black. Haotian had it in his hands to make it 3-3. That missed yellow, and then the break-off shot in this frame was a sort of hangover from that. He hit the blue, he left the chance, and Ronnie O'Sullivan
73.
has done the rest. Of course, he has played Vafai since the Crucible. They met at the UK Championship semis. Going to be an interesting one. Vafai has a chance to get in the Tour Championship and possibly the top 16 for the Crucible, so he's got lots to play for.
Yeah, I mean, the possibility of a run-in to win this title, of Vafai to play Murphy, to play Carter, to play Selby. I'll say no more, but it would make for interesting viewing those matches if they happen.
Yeah, friends reunited.
That's the one, Dave. You put it better than I ever could.
Anyway, a stylish finish from O'Sullivan. He's looked sort of unbothered today, hasn't he? Very businesslike, but focused at the same time. The red has stayed out, so the break ends at 96 and the match ends with it. One chance he needed in the end. Haotian will be very disappointed, of course, with that miss yellow when he was poised to make it 3-3. But the crowd are delighted because they're going to see Ronnie O'Sullivan again. Tomorrow, he's into the last 16 here in Haotian. Quite an eventful match, some big breaks, some drama as well. A classy finish from O'Sullivan. He wins 5-2. Next up, Hossein Vafai.